I begin reading this lesson from the Gospel of John, I want to hold up something. Make sure you can see these. Can you tell what these are? What are they, Abby?
Crystals.
Crystals? What do you think they are, Connor?
Crystals.
Crystals? Anybody got another idea? Yes?
Rocks.
Rocks. This story I'm going to read includes the mention of stones or rocks. Early in the morning, Jesus came to the temple, and all the people followed him. He sat down and he taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman who was caught in adultery, and they set her in the midst. And they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery, in the very act. Now Moses in the law commands that such should be stoned. But what do you say?" This they said to test him, that they might have something by means of which they could accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dirt. As if he did not hear them, they continued asking him. He raised himself up and said, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw the first stone at her." And again he stooped down and wrote in the ground. Those who heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest, even to the last. Jesus was left alone with the woman. She was standing in the midst. And when Jesus raised himself up, he saw no one but the woman. He said to her, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Amen. I have to talk away from the microphone. I hope you can hear me. So I showed you 3 stones. Now, I have this globe. How fortunate that I was able to find a globe at a garage sale and push pins into it. Can you see how many pins are in the globe? Maybe, maybe not. If you can't, I'll just point out. There are 3. One here, and one way over here. It's not very much of the surface of this globe, is it? Because there's all the rest that has no pins in it. But these 3 pins represent 3 different places. This pin, do you know what this one represents, Connor? Can you tell where that is generally? Ontario. I think, where do you think I pushed it? Toronto. Very good. It's covered over. The pin actually covers over the writing. This pin, can you tell where that pin is?
Spain.
Spain. Very good. It's on the border right between France and Spain. And then this one. Let's see. Let's pick another youngster here. Where do you think this one's from?
Cairo.
Looks like Cairo.
Yeah.
But the story has to do with Jesus in... So...
Yeah. Pardon me.
That's okay. It's hard to tell. It's very small writing. So this black pin is Jerusalem. This is where the story takes place, where Jesus was teaching in the temple, far, far away from a pin I pushed in because I happened to be there just recently. And Ontario. 3 different places on the earth. Okay, here you go. 3 stones. What do you think? Where do you think this stone's from?
Spain.
Spain? Ontario? Our brand new floor. Jerusalem. You're all, well, yes, you're all wrong. All these 3 stones came from the shore of France, very close to Spain. They look very much like they could be from anywhere in the world, right? Because how would you be able to tell where a stone comes from. How would you be able to tell? If you were a geologist, perhaps, a scientist that studies the things of the earth, you could probably scratch off a piece and then analyze it and go, well, it probably came from somewhere. You might be able to tell. But for most of us, we look at a stone, we go, this could be a stone from the shore of Spain. I think actually maybe this one did come from Spain. Or the shore of France, or the shore of the Mediterranean, or from Jerusalem, or from Ontario. Because lots of stones look pretty much the same to those who don't have scientific training. But no matter where this came from, how would it feel if I just chucked it out at somebody who wasn't paying attention to the sermon right now? How would it feel? It would feel really bad. And the story that I read this morning has to do with some people finding somebody who had done something wrong, and really they were trying to make Jesus look bad. And they said, Moses said we should stone her. You know what? I bet they didn't care where the stones came from, but they would have picked stones from around the temple. And so what did Jesus say to them? Do you remember what Jesus said about? I know, you think about this question. What did Jesus say? You think they might have had stones, even maybe in their hand, ready to punish this woman? But Jesus said something to them. I know some of the grown-ups remember, but this is the children's talk. What? Do you remember what Jesus said, Rosalie? You could say almost anything and you'd probably get it right. Jesus said, you who are without sin, you cast the first stone. Are you without sin? Can you cast the first stone? Now, I tell you, I have done some sinful things. Am I alone? Has anybody else done sinful things? Okay. So you can pick on me, you can throw the first stone at me, or pick somebody else. I'm pretty sure Rosalie does not fit into this category. No.
Not get it.
The first stone. Who's going to throw the first stone? You are? I better take these stones away now. Okay. Here we go. Who's going to cast the first stone, Jesus asked. And they all recognized, all those people who were ready to punish, they all recognized they themselves had sinned. And they couldn't cast the first stone because they themselves had sinned. Jesus said, he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone. And they all left. And it says they left in a certain order. Who do you think was the first to leave? The old people or the young people? The old people. Because sometimes the older we get, the more we recognize the things we've done wrong. It's kind of easy when we're a little younger to go, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. But as we mature and get older, as we listen in church, as we read the Lord's Word, we recognize the Lord has a lot of work left to do for us. A lot of work that we need to do in order to not continue to do wrong things, but continue to do right things. And because that woman had done something terribly wrong, Jesus then did what? Condemned her? No. You know, just like you couldn't tell where those stones came from, you'd have to have a lot of information. Jesus knew everything about that woman, and yet he still didn't condemn her. He just said, go and sin no more. Where are your accusers? I neither do condemn you. Go and sin no more. Amen.